Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Excellency Light League game number 2 between DA Obsidian and Central Sentinels is now coming your way, Kendo. Game number 1 was pretty dominant towards DAO. Now, Central Sentinels is looking to bounce back with a win in game 2.
Yep, man. I get the feeling you may see a Jarvan ban here early out of Central Sentinels. If you don't, maybe I question the sanity of this team, but they have shown me things that I did not think were possible thus far already with role switches. There it is. Jarvan going to be taken off the table early. Viego and Malzahar, the two picks for DA Obsidian to start things off. And of course, the Corki as well. Again, Void with the Corki has been extremely impressive.
On respect pick coming in for DAO against Primus as the Thresh. Gonna ban that out for their last pick. The only issue for the Sentinels at this point is that if you ban something, but you don't ban something else, it leaves DA Obsidian to have that available to them. They're gonna ban out the Ziggs, so they got plenty of options to choose from for a lot of different lanes that didn't get banned out. And they're gonna choose the Amumu first pick. I mean, maybe it's a little bit of a, hey, I'm going to show you how it's done here on DAO as they pick it first.
Yeah, and KGB has already shown that they can play just about anything in the jungle. Granted, it's been a lot of Jarvan. It's been a lot of Xin Zhao throughout the course of the season. But if you can pick the Amumu and take it off the table for Central Sentinels after they played pretty well with the Amumu under Mador, I think this is a really good move.
Seraphine going to be the first pick now for the Sentinels. I mean, a good pick. Sona 2.0, we've seen Seraphines play exceptionally well here on the Light League before, and we're going to get Seraphine picked up first pick here for CST. Nautilus is going to be second pick. And unless we're getting some craziness happening here where Nautilus goes into the jungle, it looks like it either is going to be a Seraphine bot lane or a Seraphine mid lane here in this one with the Nautilus support.
And I doubt that they're going to pull any hardcore shenanigans. Nautilus jungle would be very, very interesting. Granted, we've seen some very interesting things out of Central Sentinels before. The Aurelia pick coming in. This is one of Ted Garcia's favorite top laners. 59% win rate with Aurelia. Ted Garcia likes a lot of characters with dashes, and Aurelia probably the best.
And well, you've got some good synergy with the Amumu as well. You get the Vanguard's Edge, you get everyone kind of locked into one place. That's what Amumu wants. And then Amumu goes in with the Bandage Toss, gets the Curse of the Sad Mummy for several stuns. Aphelios is going to be the third pick here. And you can already see the build path coming in for DAO, getting everyone picked up together. Then we get a beautiful Moonbeam, or beautiful ultimate from Aphelios to then just obliterate them, moving into the mid game, moving into the late game. Misfortune is going to be the counter pick in the bottom lane. Going to be able to get that high damage early on, especially, pre-6 can have that dominance available with that twin shot on our Q ability. Going to have that available for the Sentinels as we get into the second ban phase. Sentinels is looking at the Braum pick for their first ban. Yeah, it would make sense. Thresh is already taken out, but it's going to be Vel'Koz. Void not going to have that available.
Yeah, that obviously very good pick here. The question is, do you leave Void the Corki? Void has been extremely proficient on the Corki all season long. So
Corki's been banned.
Oh yeah, excuse me. I'm blind. There we go. Now we're getting the Braum. Yeah, it does not surprise me at all that they would ban the Braum out, especially with the projectile damage that you're looking at from Misfortune. Misfortune, I feel like, bodes well towards the mid game if you are trying to counter that Amumu Aurelia combo, a late Misfortune ult to try to zone out everyone in that cone area from the Vanguard's Edge. Probably would be a good counterattack.
So the Sentinels were targeted in the top lane. It's gonna
Hmm.
end up being Farmer Ben losing out on his Shen and on his Olaf. They're gonna pick up the Diana as their jungler.
Hmm.
I'm a big fan of Diana. I think Diana works really well in a lot of different keen team comps. Can assassinate really easily, and then if you're able to clump everyone together with Moonfall into a Bullet Time for Misfortune, into a Nautilus knockup, into a Seraphine Charm. Like, that is another big wombo combo that the Sentinels are going to have available in this game. However, oh man, the biggest counter to projectiles that you can get in the jungle, it is the Xin Zhao going to be available. So, Xin Zhao is going to be on deck for DAO. That could be a top lane Xin, or maybe we get some mid lane Amumu shenanigans here in game 2 with Ted Garcia's Silas, I'm assuming, getting taken here, Kendo. This is a pretty interesting composition coming in from DAO.
This is very interesting because most likely that Amumu is going down to the support angle, and that could be dangerous. That being said, it kind of takes away from where I feel the real synergy lies. You have the Amumu wandering around, helping out the Aurelia, helping out the Silas in the mid lane. That doesn't bode as well. That being said, I mean, you play a wandering support, it could just work as well.
A lot of flexible options available here for DAO. They can decide to put, I
Oh,
mean,
the
pretty much
Poppy.
anyone everywhere. Sentinels is going to pick up Farmer Ben for Poppy here in this one. I mean, you were talking about it as well. You were talking about it in game 1. The adaptability that Central Sentinels has. They're willing to change where players are at composition-wise. They could be in the support role. They could be in the mid lane role in the next game and then be back to the support role in the third. So I'm curious to see what Central Sentinels decides to build and who goes for what. DA Obsidian, I mean, there's a couple of questions that are going to be available in where everyone's going, but the strategy remains the same. You know, you've got a lot of really strong engage tools available for Ted Garcia on the Silas potentially. You've got KGB obvious, or you've got we don't know who's going where, but I mean, you've got the Amumu with the bandage tossing the Curse of Sad Mummy, Vanguard's Edge for the Aurelia. You've got, oh man, you've got the Moonfall, the ultimate coming in from the Fellows could potentially go in for a root if they decide to go for it. But I mean, just still really good engage coming in from DAO. Central Sentinel's going to have to play, you know, their best here in game number 2 to get this to a 1-1.
Yeah, the Central Sentinels do not have as much engage, but they do have a lot of sustain. I just don't like the fact if you're Central Sentinels, you're going to be playing that counterattack game. This is not something that bodes well most of the time when you're looking at DA Obsidian on the other side, especially when you consider how much of a comboing feature they have with the Aurelia, with the Amumu, with the Aphelios potential stun, with the Xin Zhao going in. And then on top of all of that, Silas is there stealing your ults. It's again another great draft from DA Obsidian as far as the prolonged team fights go, and it's really going to put Central Sentinels on their back foot.
Yep, and so you were correct. It is going to be an Amumu support game 2 here for DA Obsidian. Pony Goat is going to have the Sad Mummy in his lane to give him some much-needed tanky assistance coming through. As Mordor, the Seraphine is going to be in the mid lane, it looks like, unless there is, you know, some weird Seraphine jungle shenanigans that are coming about in game 2 here for the Sentinels. But it, again, you know, DA Obsidian with another really fun draft, another really great draft, because they're able to pick the Silas last into a team that gives him so many powerful ultimates to choose from. The Diana ultimate, the Seraphine ultimate, the Nautilus ultimate, if you want to go for a point-and-click engage. It's just a rough situation for the Sentinels to be in when you can have the Silas played. And on top of that, several players on DA Obsidian can play as the Silas. Ted Garcia in game 1, now Void in game 2.
Yes, indeed. And of course, I do also want to talk about how Void is one of the best mid laners as far as remaining conservative. You get matchups that aren't necessarily positive in the early game, Void does so well against those. One of the lowest deaths per game in the league. In fact, the lowest if you factor in players who need to play at least 6 games to be considered for that stat. Only 1.5 deaths per game so far in the regular season is an extremely impressive number. So you know you're going to get consistency out of Void on the Silas, which means down the road, mid-game on, that Seraphine could have a really good time in the early game, but Silas is still going to come online.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing for DA Obsidian. You have the Xin Zhao that's going to be able to help elevate DA Obsidian into the mid game, a very strong early game champion that can go into the jungle and contest with the Diana and really give her a run for her money. Moving in pre-6, and then once you do get post-6, once you do start getting those ultimates online, and the Tedgars and the Aurelia and the Silas start to be able to get going, then you build into the late game if you need to, the Aphelios being that late game win condition that they're able to build into. So overall, again, DA Obsidian pulling out a really strong draft that is going to put them into a good position to be able to win game number 2. Central Sentinels, gonna have to play well in the early game, get themselves into an advantage early on so that they're able to control the map, control the rift, get the picks that they need, and force DA Obsidian into a defensive position where they might not be able to defend a very powerful siege that Sentinels can potentially bring out.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Poppy's gonna wish that they had their cooldowns reduced Earth mode, because there's going to be so many dashes, so many opportunities for this DA Obsidian squad to go in, and Poppy's shield not going to be enough each and every single time. So work around your cooldowns and you're probably going to have a good time if you're DA Obsidian. That being said, at least there's some semblance of counterattack for Central Sentinels going in.
Yeah, and game number 2 looking like it's going to be another fun matchup here for sure. Do want to give a quick shout out real quick before we get into that one. Not talking about the Light League, but I want to talk about the Heavy League. I want to talk about Thursday's show. Camcom requesting a plug for her family feud that she is doing, wanting to get some statistics, wanting to get some support from the community. I just linked it in the chat. If you guys want to stop by there, give Camcom your support for that pre-game show. I believe that's going to be happening on Thursday. Should be a ton of fun. Get your input in there. Family Feud style. Going to be a fun pre-show to watch. However, for now, we are about ready to jump into game number 2 between DA Obsidian and Central Sentinels. Going to be a fun matchup. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back before you know it. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Light League. Folks, we are ready for game number 2 between the Central Sentinels and Divine Ascension Obsidian. Game number 1 went handedly towards DAO, and now they're looking to be able to make it a 2-0 here in this matchup, Kendo. And again, we're seeing the shenanigans afoot from the Sentinels. Do they get anything out of this one? Ponygo trying to be able to escape will be just fine. But again, early aggression coming in from the Sentinels.
Yep, and it would not surprise me if they go all in on this one very early and try to make the most out of it. Primus looking to face check some bushes in the process. And they're just going to ward and get on out.
Ward and get on out is the play, but because all 5 members of the Sentinels were in the bottom lane, it does mean that DAO has full control of this top quadrant of the Rift. They are going to be ready to go for a potential gank and invade against Mordor and this Seraphine. Oh no, Ted Garcia and KGB are in the area, and it is now going to be Mordor trying to be able to survive, and maybe having to use Flash here, and does use Flash. So, a little bit of a misplay coming in from Central Sentinels as they lose out not only on that play, but also on their red buff.
And Farmer Ben gonna chase down Void, might be able to get them out. Not quite. So, very, very close. I like the exchange. You got flashes used for flashes used, and we're gonna be interested to see Poppy and Xin Zhao going at it. The Xin Zhao with the red buff will disengage well. So how do things start? Here is, oh my, the counter jungling earlier is going to be so interesting. The Diana looking for the red buff.
This is bad. Leche is extremely low. Mordor going to be there to keep her alive. But now KGB looking to be able to get the kill onto a flashless Seraphine. Does he get the knock-up? He doesn't have knock-up ready to go, but he does get a lot of damage onto the Seraphine. And already, Central Sentinels are off to a pretty poor, lukewarm start. Nothing going their way. Flash already used, and DAO come out of it just fine. Primus, however, going to get another nice anchor. Really playing well with these hook-style champions.
I mean, you already felt bad for Farmer Ben knowing that Ted Garcia is on a very comfortable pick in the Aurelia. But this start, one entire wave missed for Farmer Ben is going to put this Poppy at a major disadvantage throughout. Yes, it was kind of a losing lane to begin with.
Oh
and if they go down here, oh, that's Ted Garcia with the first blood, or the Poppy. Farmer Ben, the benefactor of some brilliant turret play.
Let me tell ya, that is some commentator's curse there, Kendo. Commentator curse Kendo online as Corey JJ goes in for the bandage cast onto Primus. The ignite is used, and now the anchor is gonna land on a pony goat. He's gonna have to flash away himself, but now Primus is in trouble. Will be able to survive barely yet again. This bottom lane extremely explosive, but a huge misplay coming in from Ted Garcia. Gonna lose out to Farmer Ben. Pretty much evens out that lane. But now maybe staying a little bit too long. The stun is gonna land. Ted Garcia looking to get some revenge. Gonna get the flash and will use the extra dash to get that kill onto the Poppy.
Really well done. That will reset the lane there. Both players level 4. And about even, Poppy gonna be coming back to most likely the wave crashing, a couple waves crashing under turret. So it's pretty even Stevens thus far. Would have liked to seen Farmer Ben taking the gains and running away. It's still such an active bot lane. Tori JJ playing so aggro on the Amumu.
Yes, and on top of that, it is also a teleport advantage for Ted Garcia on the Aurelia. Did not have to use TP to get back to that lane earlier, and now is looking to be able to continue to keep up. Doesn't have mana though, so needs to get back sooner rather than later to be able to give some contention here. Leche in the area, knows that Corey JJ is in the brush, but does not decide to go for the gank, not knowing where KGB is at. So right now, this bottom lane is the focus here for Central Sentinels. Do they get anything out of this play? Doesn't look like it, as Leche goes for his Gromp.
Yep, and it's gonna be a good start here for the Diana. An equal to the task start for the Xin Zhao, though, getting the pickaxe on the first back. So we already have seen the vision control by KGB. I'd like to see it a little further out earlier, but the commitment to making sure that there is really good vision already starting here with the first drag.
I mean, that's obviously going to be the play. If Fiendfire and Primus are now extremely low, they're going back, they're resetting, trying to be able to get themselves back on track. Kind of not overstaying, but, you know, with the priority in the bottom lane for DAO, they're just fine. They're going to be able to go back and pick up Infernal Drake #1. It is a Cloud Drake for the second one. And I'm going to predict we're going to get a 2-game-in-a-row Mountain Soul here, Kendo, as KGB looks to be able to go for it against Mordor. Mordor does not have Flash yet, and this time the airborne is there. The charm will land, but it is not going to be enough. KGB on the board with his first kill.
Mercy, really good start for KGB on the Xin Zhao. Once again, we've seen that KGB really does like ganking mid on the comeback, will often force a gank at times, sometimes even with more of a diving standard set. We're going to get a look at it one more time in this case, and it was immediately from the dragon straight towards the Seraphine, and the Seraphine was well aware, does grab, or does put the ward down. Look at this dedication, though. KGB all the way around, make sure to avoid the ward, then gets all of the CC to make sure that Mordor goes down.
A little bit of a scuffle here in the bottom lane. Central Sentinels going to pick up a lot of damage onto Goat and to Corey JJ. I mean, talking to the Sentinels, as we get a tight fight in the top lane, Leche does get the gank against Ted Garcia, but now it could potentially be a 2v1. Farmer Ben is level 7 and will be able to survive 2 kills in favor of Central Sentinels. DAO with the misplay in the top lane.
Mercy, that's something I wasn't expecting, and once again, we see Ted Garcia putting themselves in a little disadvantageous spot. The Farmer Ben on the Poppy has been able to take the lead as far as levels go, and you look across the board, this has been a very impressive, well-grounded showing from Central Sentinels early.
Grounded so far, but not quite in a good position just yet. They still have to play extremely carefully. The Pony Goat, Aphelios, is in the lead CS-wise against Fiendfire and the Misfortune. They are both even at this point in the contest. 1-0 and 1 Diana is definitely something that you want to see, but he is kind of building a little bit strangely here. Ends up getting the first item towards her Mythic, but ends up going then for the recurve bow to build that Gnasher's Tooth. So going to be a little bit behind in getting that Mythic item by picking up that extra little bit of attack speed, Kendo. On the other side of the Rift, KGB already with that Iron Spike Whip, ready to go in for that crucial Gore Drinker that's going to keep him alive in those team fights. It's still, I mean, a decent position for DAO despite being behind by 1K.
I'm interested to see where the Rift Herald will go here, because in the first match between these two teams, Central Sentinels really seem to have the Rift Herald unlock, and we are already seeing Farmer Ben going down, making sure to establish some vision here in the river. Additional help by Primus working towards mid. They are definitely working to set up the vision.
But that does mean that Fiendfire is all alone in the bottom lane. It is a 3-man gang coming in potentially here for DAO, as we do get to see the bottom lane control coming in from KGB. You know, it's a meme at this point that KGB ignores the bottom lane and they just do all the work on their own at this point. But I mean, KGB is putting in an effort here and will be looking to keep up with that play. Primus now potentially in a bad spot as the Bandit Toss does land onto him, but no commitment from the rest of DAO. So we'll be just fine. Farmer Ben and Ted Garcia. Ted Garcia kind of in a little bit of a strange spot at this point, Kendo. In the lead CS, but it's a fairly even matchup there in the top lane.
And then you're also going to see the retreat here with no mana. This is going to give priority to the Diana there and the Rift Herald. You're most likely going to see the Poppy push and then head straight towards the Herald Seraphine already on the way. KGB in the Jinzhou, most likely going to face check Herald. This might not go well.
Missing as the Moonfall lands on KGB, will have to use his ultimate to try to get out of that one and will go down. That is going to be 1-for-1 as Corey JJ gets the kill onto Fiendfire in the bottom lane. Being able to get the ADC is going to put Ponygo into a good position, but because of KGB going down, it means that Central Sentinels does end up getting priority and will most likely take the Rift Herald at the 11-minute mark. But right now, I mean, Cloud Drake is ready to go. Potentially DAO going to go for that instead.
The good news is, though, they are going to have to start the Rift Herald from scratch, and a lot of that match, a lot of that battle was the fact that you had no vision.
Oh my goodness!
Farmer Ben's just going to take Ted Garcia down under tower? What?
What a play coming in there from the rest of Central, or from Farmer Ben. Central Sentinels having a diamond in the rough here with this Poppy, and now they're looking to be able to get potentially an engage onto this Cloud Drake with a teleport coming in from Farmer Ben at half HP. When Become Lightning does not land onto the Poppy, but it will be KGB being able to pick up the kill. Bullet Time is going to land a lot of damage onto KGB, and he will end up dying. Ponygo will die as well to Fiendfire. Yes, DAO gets the dragon, but Central Sentinels takes 2 kills, and we're right again. It is another Mountain Soul.
My goodness, you love to see it. I gotta figure out why you are some sort of psychic when it comes to these drakes. You are, this is impressive. I haven't known you for long enough to know that you are a psychic yet, but I have my suspicions.
Maybe so, maybe so. But we are going to get a little bit of a pause in the game. I mean, that was a really good fight coming in for the Sentinels. We can take a look at that one again, Kendo, as they get earlier or more into the lead now with that play.
And they did have everything set up to at least secure the Drake, but you knew everything was coming down and coming down hard. Love the 5v3 action here. Then DAO, I mean, credit to KGB making sure that the Drake was secured, but at the same time, they have found themselves reacting to a lot of these plays. Central Sentinels are in charge of the flow of the Rift right now, and that's something we haven't been able to say about them so far. DAO is going to have to adjust.
They are. I mean, this is definitely going to be a much better early game for the Sentinels, which is to be expected with the composition that DAO has. The Aurelia is still trying to be able to get going. We've still got the Silas trying to be able to get some movement. And on top of that as well, Ponygoat on the Aphelios needs some time to be able to rack up the damage, rack up the CS, and get going there. However, it is still an advantage to CST right now. They've got themselves in a great position to win this game at this point, but they got to keep the aggression going.
Let's talk about Farmer Ben for a moment, because Farmer Ben going into this was held out for so long in some of those team fights. Started off with a 10 CS disadvantage against Ted Garcia's Aurelia. Normally, you do not feel very good about your chances because Ted Garcia has been one of the most consistent top laners in the Light League. The steadfast presence, not just the skill being used, but we're talking about the summoner's steadfast presence under the adversity in the circumstance given has been monumental, personifying Poppy extremely well. And I think you look to the use of the steadfast presence under turret in order to block the dash out and land some of that additional Q damage, the true damage portion of the Q to kill under turret. That is insane. Amazing start from Farmer Ben.
Yeah, and Ted Garcia putting in the work here across the Rift. A nice great teleport coming through as well. Now remember, because of that failed T-fight from DAO, they do allow 4 Central Sentinels to drop that Rift Herald into the mid game, and they are able, or into the mid lane, and they are able to get a little bit closer to getting that first tower to go down. Extremely close, actually. Almost less than, I would say, like 500 HP there on that tower. So very close to going down. However, they do not get the tower out of this one, so there is still hope that DAO is able to get the first turret of the game here, Kendo, as Leche gonna be able to make sure that DAO cannot go any further. The disengage is secured.
7 plates to 1 as we approach that all-encompassing turret plates have fallen time. So I do appreciate... Oh, there's another one for DAO. I stand corrected. So 7 plates to 2. It's been a very impressive early game from Central Sentinels, but it's, as we said, what you kind of would expect. They're going to have to maintain their pacing. They're going to have to keep themselves going, and Farmer Ben is on the run behind enemy lines.
Should be able to get out of that one. 4-1-3 has the Bramble Vest. Primus, however, cannot survive as Pony Go picks up his first kill of the game here, Kendo, in the bottom lane. Want to point out as well, Mardor getting caught out of position will end up losing his flash. Not only that, he also does not have teleport available as well. So got to be playing carefully here as he does get attacked by an KGB. Not going to get rooted, but will avoid the ultimate from Farmer Ben. And now Mordor is going to get the charm, but it's not going to be enough. KGB secures the kill. Ponygoat will die to Leche, making it a 1-for-1. Farmer Ben is extremely low, but the Moonfall from Void is going to get the shutdown onto the Poppy. And a double kill for Void on the Silas will clean up shop in this mid lane. DAO back in the lead.
I kind of want to see this one again. I know we will get to it. I missed a couple aspects of it. It good stuff, and yeah, we'll go to the replay as soon as it is ready. I'm watching this one develop. You see the push from the Seraphine, just to maybe a little bit overcommitted. The miss here, KGB flashing to avoid the keeper's verdict is really the whole start to this entire play. They overcommitted so hard trying to get KGB, and then Farmer Ben finds themselves on the back foot. Lychee as well going down. The positioning was what was flawed, not necessarily the engage, but man, oh man, really good. Here's a start to a comeback if you're DAO.
Maybe just the start of the beginning of the end, I would say. You know, we're talking about CST needing to be able to stay in the lead, needing to stay aggressive moving into this mid-game. And now we've approached the mid-game of this position, Kendo. A very good position for DAO in the lead. And that's where they want to be gold-wise. Objective-wise, they are a little bit behind in terms of damage there that they could potentially have. They do have 2 dragons with a minute remaining until the Mountain Soul spawns. But, I mean, DAO, all things considered, in a pretty good position at this point.
Yes, indeed, they are. They put themselves right back into it with the gold portion of the fight. Now it's going to be a battle for vision yet again. I go back to the previous Rift Herald battle where it was vision that KGB did not find, and it was KGB throughout game number 1, truly keeping them above and ahead of the game in the neutral stance. So will they be able to keep the vision going? Will they be able to build upon what they're starting? We're going to find out here. Is this Mountain Drake going to get very dicey?
Yeah, it's going to be a crucial Mountain Drake, I think, for both these teams. Ted Garcia is a little bit late, but he does have teleport ready to go if he does decide to use it. Void also has TP available for a very crucial Mountain Drake's fight. If DAO gets it, it is Mountain Soul. But Leche is looking to be able to start the fight before they're even able to get to it, as the teleports are coming in from Void to be able to get into the bottom lane. It looks like Ted Garcia is looking to take the long route as Corey JJ goes in for the flash and gets a huge Curse of the Sad Mummy onto 3. The Encore is going to land, but it's going to take him out of Fiendfire's position. It's a triple kill for Leche, though, with the Moonfall into the Vanguard's edge from Ted Garcia. Aphelios does get one, but he will not get any more, as that was a beautiful Moonfall. from a great encore. Mardor into Leche gets Central Sentinels the ace.
There's the wombo combo we were talking about, and the fact that Fiendfire was able to zone together so many with that bullet time ult was superb. So Central Sentinels, they find themselves in prime opportunity to take full command of this match. Rift Herald is open and ready. The vision is ready to be secured. They're going to grab at least a couple turrets out of this one, and they're going to look to reset.
Big plays coming in from Central Sentinels here in game number 2. Now remember, coming into this game, Divine Ascension Obsidian is flawless, 12-0 in the league right now. So Central Sentinels is putting up a massive fight up against the top ranked team in the league. Now, they do get 2 towers off of that one, but they do not secure Rift Herald. They don't drop Deep Vision either, leaving those areas. So, I mean, a little bit underwhelming in what they were able to do, I feel like. I feel like they were going to get those towers regardless. But at the end of the day, I mean, this is a good play coming in for CST, who are now soundly in the lead by about 2K.
Yep, they put themselves right back into the leadership role on the Rift, and Primus will be, once again, looking to clear out some vision. We are going to have another pause. I'm not sure what the issue is here, but you're looking at the amount of time left. There is a Rift Herald up. Potentially, we may just see that Rift Herald go by the wayside, because 1 minute left to go before the Baron, 1 minute 17 seconds to be exact. I don't think either of those teams is going to be able to safely pursue the Rift Herald before the Baron.
Probably not. I mean, it's not going to be a pretty effective Rift Herald, I wouldn't think, in this game for either team if they do decide to go for it. But a very close matchup. I mean, that was a beautiful team fight coming in for Central Sentinels. They got what they needed out of it. And that was initiated by Corey JJ, by the Amumu initially, having a really good start to it, getting that Curse of the Sad Mummy onto 3, but the follow-up wasn't there. And you get a lot of members of a team all clumped up together up against a Diana. That Moonfall's damage just is exponentially increased. So that's why you saw the triple kill land for Leche there. And it then just concludes into a beautiful play coming in for Central Sentinels. Yes, Ponygo gets a 1 kill out of that one, but I mean, disaster for DAO's mid-game opportunities, and they're going to be on the back burner until they can make a play.
You see, I don't agree with you on the level of engage that was coming out of the Amumu. Yes, if you're a support, your mindset is, okay, let's be extremely aggressive. But that was an engage straight into 4. You got the stun on everybody, but you did not have the critical thing, and that was the misfortune on the end. That was a engage straight into a bullet time that zoned 3 members of DAO completely out of the play. Not necessarily out of the play, because they still went in. They went in anyway. They lost half their health bars, and then that set up perfectly for your Diana ult. You gotta love the fact that the entire team comp was what won the day in that individual fight if you're Central Sentinels, because it feels really good after game number 1. You had that exactly coming out of the DAO side. They were wombo comboing you to death. So you get one in, you're gonna feel a lot more confident if you're CST.
Yep, and so game number 1, like you were talking about, went to DAO, but Central Sentinels game number 2, they are putting up a massively better fight here in this one, putting in the work and making sure that DAO, if they're going to win this game, they are going to have to play, you know, to their best ability to be able to make that happen. I mean, looking at the composition, I mean, having them move in the support role, not playing a traditional support that you would normally see on Corey JJ, I maybe a little bit of limit testing here. I don't know if they're going to lose the game yet or not. It is still too close to call. Central Sentinels is doing everything right, but we are in the Light League. These are players that are in silver, gold, plat 4 level queues. things can happen very quickly that could turn a game around for either team.
Yeah.
So I won't be convinced that Central Sentinels will win the game until they can take down the Nexus, until they can get into a major advantage and push DAO into a bad spot.
Well, and that being said, this is still a very good early game comp against a much deeper composition for the end game on the side of DAO. So things are going about how you'd expect on the Rift, given the back and forth that you kind of would think would happen between these two compositions. So I'm going to be interested to see if they can continue to keep this misfortune online, because there's going to be a lot of fall off. If you can get bullet times that set up Diana ults like that multiple times in this match, I don't think scaling is going to be an issue whatsoever. That being said, I get the feeling they're going to be a little more careful about their engage going in the next time that there's a big team fight.
Yeah, that was just a really, I mean, positioning wise was really strong in that last fight there for Central Sentinels. That just worked out in their favor in what they were able to do and where the positioning of everybody was. But we also got to talk about Ted Garcia playing as that side, or playing as the Aurelia here in this matchup. Didn't use teleport in that last team fight, then goes in with the Vanguard's Edge, gets 4, but doesn't use his teleport to be able to be into that fight earlier. That might have changed the game there. So maybe a little bit of miscommunication there from Ted Garcia. But overall, I mean, this early game has been pretty underwhelming for this Aurelia.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you. I think Ted Garcia is going to be the pinnacle, going to be the spearhead of what needs to happen in the latter portion of this game. If Ted Garcia is not getting involved, that is a comfort pick for Ted Garcia that is not seeing or bearing fruit in this matchup. And it also doesn't really enable the Amumu. I would have loved to have seen Ted Garcia down for the beginning of that fight, initiating with the Amumu, because then all of a sudden everything changes. You have everyone right there. You're still going to get the counter ult out of the misfortune, but so much more damage on top of the stuns would have been incredible.
It would have been I think the change that would have maybe given the rest of DAO the ability to win that team fight, and that is a big pendulum swing for the changing of this map. That is a win condition delayed for DAO. They no longer have the chance to go for an early 22 minute Mountain Soul, so definitely, or 25 minute Mountain Soul, so going to be a little bit behind on that. On top of that, DAO was also able to, get those towers, so a little bit of that vision can potentially be pushed forward. So it is going to be a little bit of maybe a collapse coming in from DAO if they don't hold strong moving into the 20-minute mark. We've still got, plenty of game left to play. I think we're like 19 minutes into the game at this point. So there's still plenty of game left to play moving into these games, especially when we're talking about Light League averages, averaging around 30 minutes a contest. Don't expect this game to be in one of those 20-minute stomps. Maybe it is. Maybe we do get to see another big team fight for Central Sentinels, and it just becomes a landslide victory here. But I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think either of us know. It would be wrong for us to assume too hard. We can definitely make commentary about it, but oh man. Yeah, man. I saw you go to the drink, and I'm very, very tempted. My friend, what do you got in there?
I mean, right now, it's not AM grind. It's not AM grind, I'll tell you that for sure. But I do have some nice throat coat is what it's called. It's a calming tea to be able to give my throat a little bit of a break because of all the commentary that we're doing here today. But speaking of coffee, speaking of drinks, things that can go into the cup like this, AM Grind is your source. You can put in a couple of really delicious flavors. You can go for an iced coffee, I believe. You can go for an overcharged light blend. You can do whatever you want with your coffee. And when you're getting it from AM Grind, it is some of the best that you can get in the business. And on top of that, for supporting XLNC, you guys are able to get a 10% discount. Just put in the promo code XLNC Esports at your checkout to get 10% off your order and get yourself some delicious coffee given us to us by AM Grind.
I gotta say, you mentioned the word sourced, and AM Grind is sourcing their coffees from all around the world, and that is something that is so amazing. Well, we're gonna go right back into the action, folks. I'd love to continue to talk about AM Grind. We'll probably hit them on the flip side.
Most likely, for sure. And it does look like it is maybe a Mardor issue. The Seraphine having some problems being able to stay connected to the game. But doesn't look like that was too big of an issue. They were able to pause it out, being able to make sure that there wasn't too much of an error there. Nothing crazy happening because of those team fights. However, now looking at it, Primus and the rest of Central Sentinels is looking to be able to get going. They've got a 1.8 thousand gold lead. The teleport is going to come into the bottom lane. KGB and Ted Garcia might have overextended as KGB will be able to use his ultimate, and then the stun from Ted Garcia. So we'll be able to get out of that play. Maybe a little bit overambitious coming in from Farmer Ben.
Maybe, but at the same time, you don't want to give up too much. And when you have two main characters, mainstays in the bot lane, that could be very dangerous. Now, this is an overstay. If Farmer Ben continues to go in at KGB, right there, waiting in the wings, potential gank. Pony Goat is there as well. Oh, no.
This is bad. Farmer Ben is going to be all alone. 3 against 1 is winding up the ultimate, and it completely whiffs. Pony Goat whips his ultimate as well. What is happening here in this play? Farmer Ben is taking a lot of time now with 4 members of DAO in the bottom lane. Central Sentinel says, all right, if you guys all want to commit to this Poppy, we will commit to the Baron. Leche, Fiendfire, Primus, and Mardor now all going in against this Baron. So yes, it is going to be a DAO recognizing that this fight is coming through, but Void does have bullet time ready to go for that hijack. Can go for it. A lot of damage is going to land, but it will be Leche getting the kill. The stun will land on the Fiendfire and into Primus. And there's the Vanguard's edge and the counter play coming in from CST. The shutdown onto Leche. 4 members get the Baron, but only 1 survives with it.
Oh my, I saw the Silas abduct the bullet time, and I love the fact that they went in on it. Really good counterplay here by Void is gonna keep DAO in it. Yes, the Baron was given, and I do believe we have a replay of this. It's just one more. This is straight justice out of Void. The attempt was pure. May have even been able to get the Baron if not for the timely smite. But abducting the bullet time, you knew it was bad news right there. Trying to zone out was being fired. Oh, look, just look at that damage.
Yeah.
Woo.
Beautiful play coming in from DAO, but a great response coming in from CST. Recognizing that 4 members of DAO was in the bottom lane, there was no way that they were able to get there in time to stop the Baron from being taken. Now, with that Baron play available, unfortunately, it is only Primus that has the Baron buff active right now. And if you look over on the right side of your screen, it is a negative gold score right now for Central Sentinels because of all the deaths that they had gotten because of it. However, Baron is ready to go, and we've got 4 members of CST now looking to wait in the jungle with the dragon spawning in less than 30 seconds. KGB maybe into a bad situation, but will be going the long route to be just fine. The rest of CST is looking to be able to get the tower and looking to be able to go in. The Encore is going to land on a Pony Goat into the Moonfall, and there it is, the shutdown onto the Aphelios, but at what cost? Leche is now extremely low. Ted Garcia is looking to be able to move as quickly as possible, but it's not going to be enough. Corey JJ will die, and now the rest of CST is looking to escape. Vanguard's is going to land as everyone is inside of it. Ted Garcia getting a kill. KGB is now looking to be the hero of this play, but he goes down as Fiendfire gets a triple kill. CST loses their support, but DAO loses everything in that fight.
Oh, this is getting dynamic. Both of these teams do not have much to lose, and we're going to get another replay here of this mid lane fight going in. The Wombo combo yet again coming through, taking immediately out Pony Goat, And that is the type of pick you want to see. The fact that Leche was able to get the stopwatch as well to sustain themselves out of this fight, prolonged what could have been, and then KGB not able to do anything. Why? Well, there's Leche again, making sure that this team stays on point and on top. DAO finally in a disadvantageous spot, and the Central Sentinels are more than just online. They're finding themselves exactly where they want to be in the late game.
23 minutes into the match. Remember, the average Light League game is going to last about 30 minutes here, Kendo. So, you know, if you're DAO, you've got a little bit of time left before things start to get really maybe impossible to be able to win this one, as Primus does end up escaping. It is a top lane tower going down thanks to Farmer Ben. However, looking at the items, looking at the scores, it's a lot of CS advantages for DAO. Farmer Ben looking to be able to get some damage and uses the ultimate onto KGB as we get Void using his own, using the ultimate himself. No one going down. A couple of ultimates getting spawned, but nothing too crazy happening there. Wow, that CS or that gold difference in the jungle.
Yeah, it is very dynamic, and it really has nerfed KGB what they would like to do normally in the vision side of things. KGB at this point last game had 15 more vision than they do right now. 20 is the vision score we see at the moment. And at this point, Central Sentinels are able to do exactly what DAO did to them. They can be patient. They can slowly engage. They can take neutral objectives. They can set up their vision and make sure that they have advantageous fights throughout. You throw that in with the Wombo combo that they've been able to put on twice now. I like their chances. They just have to remain patient and vigilant.
Kendo, my mouth was wide open seeing how much damage Leche was able to do against Ted Garcia in that 1v1. I mean, now 8-3 for the Diana, has the Hextech Rocket Belt into the Nashor's Tooth, into the Zhonya's Hourglass, 170 CS as well. It is definitely feeling like a jungle diff right now for the Central Sentinels with things going their way. Want to keep track of the dragons as well. Corey JJ and the rest of DAO are able to get the first two dragons, the Infernal Drake and the Cloud Drake. However, the two Mountain Drakes that have spawned have gone towards the Sentinels, moving into the next big objective that spawns in 30 seconds. It is the Baron that is available, and it is Central Sentinels looking to go for the deep vision and maybe looking to go in for a gank here, Kendo. Let's see the team fight as KGB going to be able to use the Crescent Guard to be able to get everyone out of the position, but the depth charge going to land for KGB, trying to be able to survive. A lot of damage already into the kill. Farmer Ben taking down the jungler, and now the Sentinels looking to go towards Baron.
And they will most likely have a huge advantage on this pair, not only in vision, but so many ults for this squad. 4 of the 5 are up and ready. Very good chance for them to put the brick on the accelerator with this Baron buff. Oh my, Moose. This is a very prime opportunity for the Central Sentinels.
And now, I mean, everything is going their way. They have the Baron. They've had a 3,000 gold lead. Meanwhile, Ted Garcia was able to get the inner turret down in the bottom lane as Farmer Ben almost dies to the Aurelia, but will be able to survive. Now, Leche is looking to be able to get the kill onto Ted Garcia. Does not have spikes, so Garcia will be able to take the blue buff, but at what cost? The Moonfall is going to land. Ted Garcia cannot get out of that one as Leche goes on a killing spree.
Oh, my. So I think we see the dichotomy. We see the pecking order here on the Rift. Aurelia can beat the Poppy in the 1v1, but don't let the Diana hear about it, because the moment that Diana hears about it, it's game over for that Aurelia, no matter how Bruiser-esque this build is on the Aurelia. That was a 3-item with Staring Cage Aurelia getting absolutely dominated.
Yeah, that is a very strong a pretty strong position coming in for Central Sentinels as they look to go for potentially the third Mountain Drake in a row for CST. That should be, it's either first or second. I'm fairly certain that it is the third Mountain Drake going in for them, and they are able to pick it up immediately there, Kendo. That's huge for CST, and the advantages just continue to go further and further here in this game. For the Sentinels, that extra armor and magic resistance going to be huge for these sustained team fights.
You throw in the fact that each and every Mountain Drake added is making this team so much more tankier, so much more beefy. You throw in the fact that you don't like Poppy with that Mountain Rift as well. So many more walls to pin you up against. This Central Sentinel squad looks more and more stout each and every passing moment now. It's going to be up to DAO to try to defend this mid turret.
Primus looking to be able to get the anchor and lands it on a Pony Goat. Bullet time is active, but nice use of the Crescent Guard to be able to get the shielding there. However, now all 5 members of CST in the mid lane. We saw a throw last week, but the Encore is going to land. KGB is going to go down to the Vanguard's edge, does get 4. Void is looking to go into the area, but there is nothing that they can do as Farmer Ben is taking out Pony Goat and Corey JJ, making sure that they are out of this fight. Void will die. Farmer Ben is going to get Pony Goat and Corey JJ out of it, and now CST is looking for the 5-man push into the kill. Leche obliterating Aphelios, and the first loss for DAO is going to be off the back of Leche and his Diana. A quadra kill to cap off a beautiful game 2. It is a 1-1 set with Central Sentinels taking the game.
That was stellar. The Wombo combos, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 complete team victory domination style against DA Obsidian, who have shown themselves to be an extremely good team as far as making sure that they stick with some of these team fights. And it wasn't for lack of trying. DA Obsidian, they were ahead in CS in almost every single lane. The one of attention, though, is Leche versus KGB. KGB got absolutely destroyed in this matchup this time around. The gap in gold, the gap in CS. By the end of it, yes, KGB would have been perfect to try to create something in some of those team fights. But if all you have is Gore Drinker and Sterix against a 3.5 item Diana, things aren't going to go well for you or your team.
Everything just going great for Central Sentinels there. Game number 2 gonna go their way. It started off pretty decent for both these teams, but then the massive team fight in the Dragon Pit puts DA Obsidian on the back burner and ends up costing them not only that dragon, but momentum in a game that they needed to be able to build. They never were able to get Pony Goat into a point where he was going to be so powerful that he could win the game. Ted Garcia gets first blooded against Farmer Ben and the Poppy and goes 4-8-2 in the contest. It just never clicked for DA Obsidian in game number 2. However, we are going to see now a game 3 situation coming in from both of these teams. That was a phenomenal game number 2. But now we've got a game 3 situation coming in between DAO and CST, and I have no clue what that drop is going to look like.
I don't know either, but that's half the fun. So I want to focus on the past. I know we want to look at the future, but what if they actually stick with the Amumu in the jungle in this last game, and then they do something different as a support? Say, better lower engage. You know, you could think maybe a Leona. Maybe you could go in with somebody else to hook, a Blitzcrank. Anything to add to this composition, because it just seemed like all the ingredients were there, You had the Aurelia ult, you had the Amumu ult. It's just they never came together all at the same time, which is so uncharacteristic for DA Obsidian. They communicate so well. They find themselves so well in some of these team fights. Is the critical flaw the ambitious Amumu support pick?
I feel like it was a little bit of limit testing. I feel like it was a little bit of that as well. I don't know how much experience Corey JJ has with the Amumu just in general. I mean, it's not the most common support pick role. It's not the most common pick in general at this point in solo and duo queue. And so picking that up and then putting it into the support role, I mean, it didn't play horribly in the laning phase, but it didn't have the power that it needed. It didn't have the impact that, say, a solar flare could have on game 2. Like, had they had solar flare, they might have been able to make sure that Fiendfire could not get the bullet time that they needed. Maybe they were able to get a little bit more focus CC onto the Diana, so she wasn't able to get the wombo combo off. I don't know, because we didn't get that game. We got an Amumu in the support role, and the game just never got into a good situation for DAO. And so they dropped their first game of the split here in this one. They end up now going 13-1 so far, which opens up the door in the top 3 picks, maybe a little bit, depending on how game 3 plays out.
I love the fact we mentioned the stat earlier, Void, the lowest deaths per game in the league. That was probably Void's worst game in the league thus far, and came in with a grand total of 2 deaths. So it's such a conservative mid laner, and so like we saw the plays. The plays were very interesting. Void was doing a great job of keeping them in, especially at the Baron fight, I think, of in particular. I do believe we are going straight into the draft, though, Moose, as DA Obsidian and Central Sentinels game number 3 going to be getting underway here pretty soon.
Yeah, it does look like we are ready to jump into it. We did have a couple of pauses in that game, so we are falling a little bit behind schedule, but nothing too crazy. Jumping into game 3 here, Kendo. Game number 2 was a ton of fun, but now we are ready to move into potentially the main event of this play. DA Obsidian handedly takes game 1. Central Sentinels knocks them back in game 2, and now we get a banger here in game number 3, folks. This is going to be a really fun matchup, and I'm super excited to see who comes out on top.
I am as well. The question, of course, will remain, where do these two teams go with the bans? I think DA Obsidian going to be a little more spicy with some of their bans. As for Central Sentinels, you might see something very similar to the game number 1. I get the feeling you don't fear the Aurelia, especially with how well that Poppy was able to take care of said Aurelia, even under their own turret. The Silas may become a picker ban just because of how devastating it has been in the hands of this DA Obsidian squad multiple times, and Void showed themselves to be extremely proficient as well. I still can't get over the bullet time stolen ult in the Baron pit. That literally was so far the play of this entire series for me. And I also think you're still going to see the mainstay 3 bans going into the start for Central Sentinels. You're going to see the Corki. You're going to see the Ziggs. And most likely you're going to see the J4 because let's just say the Jin Xiao did not do work here in game number 2.
It didn't work out as well as it could have, but we'll see what they do decide to go for. It does look like we are about ready to get into the draft here in game number 3. DA Obsidian up against Central Sentinels. Game number 2 has now in the books. And now looking into the draft, you were talking about the potential bans that DA Obsidian could potentially go for. I mean, if you're feeling like the Diana was your problem, then I'd say ban the Diana. I wouldn't say that that's not a bad idea in that play. You don't ban it out in game 2. You don't ban it out in game 1. The Seraphine was really good as well from Mordor. I thought that wasn't, I thought that was a pretty good pickup there for the Sentinels as well. So you might ban that one out because you banned that out in game 1 and won that handedly. What else did they go for? I mean, they banned out the Malzahar twice or CA Obsidian has banned out the Malzahar twice. Do they go for the third time, or do they feel confident in allowing the Malzahar to go through?
You see that I'm not too sure because you look at what everyone on Central Sentinels is able to do. Again, this is a wild card of a team. A lot of these players don't actually play in the roles that they have been given. So you have a very support heavy in their free time set of individuals. And I find the way that this team plays extremely interesting. They're not afraid to switch up who is where in the middle of a stinking match. That is something to behold. Mardor, of course, going with the jungle in game number 1. They switch Leche in the Mardor in game number 2, and that worked out extremely well. So who knows what types of shenanigans we're going to see in game number 3, because Central Sentinels are a wild card. They are not going to go down without a fight. They've shown us that much more than anything else.